The important thing is to accept them all.
It's one thing to be excited, but there's certain emotions you gotta watch out for.
Children tell young athletes in particular that if you have those thoughts and those feelings, that's.
どうもこんにちは。フープファクトリーの岩野健次郎です。今回はコービーが残してくれたレガシー、人生の教え、成功とは、失敗とはのパート2となります。メンタルが強いプレイヤーになるにはどうしたらいいのか、どんな状況でもブレない自分を作るにはどうしたらいいのか、コービーが人生の教えを語ってくれます。前回はいいことも悪いことも全て事実として受け止め、邪念を捨てて目の前にあるプレーだけに集中することの大事さをコービーが語ってくれました。こちらの動画を初めて見る方は、まずは必ずパート1を見てからこのパート2をチェックするようにしてください。よろしくお願いします。今回は前半で感情の整え方、後半で結果に対する考え方についてコービーが自分自身の言葉で語ってくれます。今回も偉大な NBA プレイヤーコービー・ブライアントの残してくれたメッセージから学んでいきましょう。こちらの出典元の動画を概要欄に記載していますので、ぜひオリジナルの動画もチェックしてみてください。それではコービーからのメッセージをどうぞ。
What I try to do is just try to be still and understand that things come and go. Emotions come and go. The important thing is to accept them all, to embrace them all, and then you can choose to do with them what you want versus being controlled by emotion. You know, a lot of times I've seen players, even myself, when I was younger, being consumed by a particular fear. And to the point where you're saying, okay, nah, it's not good to feel fear. I shouldn't be nervous in this situation. Like, nah. And it does nothing but grow. Versus stepping back and saying, yeah, I am nervous about this situation. Yeah, I am fearful about this situation. But what am I afraid of? And then you kind of unpack it. And then it gives you the ability to look at it for really what it is, which is nothing more than your imagination running its course, you know?
Mental toughness really is, it's all about not getting too high or getting too low, but just kind of staying pretty even keel. I mean, that's kind of the trick to it is not to get too emotionally attached to the situation. It's one thing to be excited, but there's certain emotions you gotta watch out for, like overlooking plays or getting frustrated because you missed a shot or had a bad turnover and kind of letting that kind of linger. Now I think it's a point where I can identify it pretty quickly. So if something's frustrating me, I can always not react to it. I can always get right back to the pocket that I need to be in pretty quickly.
The reason why I say that is because we know it's a big game. So a lot of times what happens with your ball club is you get a little too animated. There you go. You get a little too hyped up. And as a result, you start blowing defense assignments, offense assignments. You just become too into the game. And so normally what happens is a couple minutes go by and all of a sudden your emotions settle and now you're ready to play the game the right way.
I think it's important for athletes to own what it is that they're going through. It's awareness, right? I think a lot of times we try to tell children, tell young athletes in particular, that if you have those thoughts and those feelings, that's weakness, that's bad, you shouldn't be feeling that, which then causes them to feel some type of way about themselves, right? They carry that around with them for the rest of their lives. And I think the most important thing is for us to be aware of what's going on in here. Not that it's bad, good, or indifferent, but it's awareness. And once you're aware of it, then you can choose to walk hand in hand with it, or you can choose to fight it, but you're making that decision. If you just can constantly bury that in the distance, then it starts festering, and it comes up in different ways and manifests itself in different ways.
That's the game. That's the trick of the game, man, is like, can you, again, detach yourself from it? Can you remove your emotions from the situation? Emotions get in the way a lot, especially in competitive situations.
I think that there's two types of players who love to win and players who hate to lose. Which one are you?
I'm neither.
Meaning?
Neither. Meaning that, you know, I play to figure things out. I play to learn something, right? Because I think if you play with a fear of failure, or you play with the will to win, or that supersedes the fear of failure, I think it's a weakness either way, right? Because if you play with the fear of failing, you'll have the pressure on yourself to play, you know, to capitulate to that fear. If you play with the sense of I want to win, then you have the fear of what happens if you don't. But if you find common ground in the middle, in the center, then it doesn't matter. You're unfazed by either, right? And that enables you to really just stay in the moment, stay connected to it, and not feel anything other than what's in front of you. So, you know, I try to just be dead center. If you fail on Monday, the only way it's a failure on Monday is if you decide to not progress from that, right? So to me, that's why failure is not existent. Because, you know, if I fail today, okay, I'm gonna learn something from that failure, and I'm gonna try again on Tuesday. And I fail, and I'm gonna try again on Wednesday. So it doesn't exist.
Right, so winning is really how you define what winning is for yourself and for your team, for your family, right? So you have to know what your values are, how you measure success, and then that's all that really matters. At the end of the day, the champion gets a trophy, right? But for us, and for me, when I came in the league, we didn't win right away. There were other teams that won, but I chose to continue to stay focused, continue to learn. So even though I lost by not winning a championship, I won in the long run because I kept on learning, and now here I am with 5 championships by how the public measures what success is, and that's okay, but that doesn't drive me. What drives me is continuing to learn, which is why I'm still sitting here after 18 years, determined to come back next year with a vengeance.
What does losing feel like to you?
It's exciting.
Why is it exciting?
Because it means you have different ways to get better. There's certain things that you can figure out that you can take advantage of, right? Certain weaknesses that were exposed that you need to shore up, right? So it was exciting. I mean, it sucks to lose,
Right.
but at the same time, there are answers there if you just look at them.
Because you get the information from losing more than from winning, probably.
Yeah. I mean, the answers are there when you win too. You just have to look at them.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a constant process. It's exciting when you win. It's exciting when you lose, because the process should be exactly the same, whether you win or you lose. As you go back and you look and you find things that you could have done better. You find things that you've done well that worked. You figure out how did they work, why did they work, how can you make them work again.
Yeah.
And but the hardest thing is to face that stuff.
You grow up and you make game-winning shots, and it's awesome. You come back the next day and miss a game-winning shot, and it's misery. And then the next day comes and you're back playing again, and you understand that life has this cyclical nature where it's, you know, what you do on Monday, it's fantastic, but then Tuesday is a bad day. But guess what? There's Wednesday.
Yeah.
So are we just supposed to live our lives like this the whole time? You know, versus just staying like this and understanding that it's really just a journey of evolution every day. It's just constant improvement, constant curiosity, constantly getting better. The results don't really matter. It's the figuring out that matters.
Yeah.
And if there's a challenge that ensues, oh, good, I want to see how I stack up to that. So you go after it. And it's just, it's fun. It's like you get a chance to compete against opponents, and you get a chance to see where you stack up against them. It's like, I want to see. Maybe I'm not good enough today, but that's fine. I'll be good enough the next time I see you, though. You know, and you get a chance to always measure yourself. At 13 years old, you know, I played the longer game, because my game wasn't about being better than you at 13. It was to be better than you when, you know, the chips are really on the line. So when we played at 13, I would size you up and see what your strengths and weaknesses are. How do you approach the game? Are you silly about it? Are you goofy about it? Are you good at it just because you're bigger and stronger than everybody else? Right? Or is there actually thought and skill that you put into it? Right? And when I'd play to my weaknesses. I wouldn't play to my strengths. I played to my weaknesses. Because when you're playing summer basketball, there's so many games. So there's not a lot of skill work being done. So when are you going to get better? Right? When you're playing in competition situations, you're only playing to your strengths. Why? Because you want to win. Right? So what I would do, I was work on the things during those games that I was weak at. Left hand, pull-up jump shot, post game. Right? So I have a strategy.
And so then fast forward to when I'm 17 and my game is completely well-rounded, and that player at 13 that I saw at 13 is still doing the same shit at 17, now you got a problem. And so it's always that competitive nature, the work ethic, and curiosity. Because I asked a lot of questions. Playing with Byron Scott, I asked him a lot of questions. Eddie Jones, who was great at chasing guards off the screens, and I didn't understand how to do that. I would sit with him before practice, after practice. Magic, James Worthy, Kurt Rambis, Kareem Abdul, all the Laker greats. I would always sit down and just ask them questions about certain games that I studied growing up. What actually happened there? What did you feel there? Why? Bird tough to defend. Why? Because you look slow as shit to me. So I'm missing something. So tell me what I'm missing. You know what I mean? And so I would always ask questions and try to learn as much as I could.
結果が全てという人は多いですよね。でもあなたがコーチだとして自分の選手が格上相手のチームに対して本当に精一杯プレーして接戦になったけれども、最後に相手がぶん投げたシュートが入ってしまって試合に負けたら選手を責めることができるんでしょうか。結果が全てだから選手をやめろなんていう極端なことを言ってしまうんでしょうか。もちろん責めないですよね。最高だった、試合には負けたけれどもよくやったと選手を必ず褒めるはずです。最大限の努力をして最高のプロセスを行ったのであれば、たとえ結果は負けだったとしてもそれは決して失敗ではないはずです。どんなに努力をしても試合に負けることはありますよね。でもそれがバスケットボールというスポーツです。反対に十分すぎるくらいのタレントがいる状態で全国大会で楽に優勝してしまったとします。遊んでも試合に勝てるぐらいのタレントレベルです。試合から1週間経って選手たちが何もやらなくても勝てる、楽勝じゃんといった気持ちで練習をしていたら、コーチであるあなたはどう思いますか？結果は優勝という最高のものですが、プロセスは最悪ですよね。こういった状況ではあなたは選手を叱ることになるんじゃないかなと思います。おそらく現状に満足するのではなく、もっと高いレベルの選手たちに挑戦する日が近い将来必ず来るから、その日のために精一杯練習するべきだと伝えるはずです。だからやっぱり本質的に大事なのは結果ではなくプロセスなんじゃないかなと強く思います。自分がやってきたプロセスに対して自分自身で納得できたのであれば、それが最高の評価だということです。だから前半のパートでコービーが言っていたように、勝っても負けても冷静に自分を見つめ直すことが大事で、一番重要なのは常に成長していくっていうこのサイクルを続けていくということ、それが人生であるということです。日々成長を追求することの重要さを偉大な選手であるコービーが僕たちに淡々と伝えてくれるのは本当に嬉しいですよね。次回のパート3ではゾーンへの入り方、本当の成功とは何かといった点についてコービーが話をしてくれます。